Hey guys, it's Gabby. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my entire 2016 reading wrap-up. In 2016, I read 34 books. Of those 34 books, 7 of them were rereads, 3 of them were adult fiction, 31 of them were young adult fiction, 2 books were standalones, the rest of them were in series, 6 of the books were graphic novels, and I listened to 7 audiobooks. Now, I was gonna get a total page count, but I realized that it was going to be way too much of a hassle, so I decided not to do that. Okay, so let's jump in. In 2016, I read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. This is the novella to the Throne of Glass series, and I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I do have a book review on this one, so I will go ahead and link it down below. I also read Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas, which is the second book in the Throne of Glass series, and I also did a book review, so I'm gonna go ahead and link that video down below as well. Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass series, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I gave Crown of Midnight a 4 out of 5 stars. Queen of Shadows, which is book 4 of the Throne of Glass series, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars, 6 out of 5 stars actually, if I could. And then Empire of Storm, which is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, and I also gave 5 out of 5 stars, but a 6 out of 5 stars if I could have, because these 2 books are amazing, and these are probably the best books that I have ever read. Not just all year, but just ever. Next, I have the 1st and the 2nd book in A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy by Sarah J. Maas. The first one being A Court of Thorns and Roses, which I did a review video and I'll post down below. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and then A Court of Mist and Fury, I gave a 5 out of 5 stars, but this book was just so phenomenal. I loved it. Once again, this is another probably best book that I have ever read. Next, I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the illustrated edition by J.K. Rowling, and it was illustrated by Jim Kay. Of course, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. The pictures are beautiful. Read it. If you're a Harry Potter fan, I definitely recommend to splurge and pick up the illustrated editions because they're just so beautiful, and it's hard not to have in your collection. And of course, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, the illustrated edition. Staying with Harry Potter, I also read Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling, John Tiffany, and Jack Thorne. This is actually a play, not a novel, and I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I'll have my review video down below along with my vlogging video down below as well. Next, I have Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the 1st book in the Illuminae files. I loved this book. What I loved the most is the format of this book. It is told in emails, schematics, diagrams, like confidential reports. There was so much detail that went into this book, and I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It's young adult science fiction. It can get a little scientific, but it's still fantastic. Like, even if you don't know any of the science behind it, you'll still like completely be able to understand the plot and everything. Next, I have City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is the 1st book in the Mortal Instruments series, and I ended up giving this book, I believe, a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and City of Bones is one of the books that I listened to on audiobook. And I also read Clockwork Angel, which is the 1st book in the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. This is the prequel, like, companion trilogy to the Mortal Instruments. And this one I do have a review, which I will go ahead and link down below. And I'm pretty sure I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I have The Diviners by Libba Bray. I really enjoyed this book a lot more than I thought I would. I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I listened to the audiobook, which I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed the audiobook. I felt like the narrator did a fantastic job with like the accents that you would hear in like the 1920s of New York City, because that is the setting of this book, and I think that's what makes this book so unique, is the setting and it's just, I really enjoyed it. Very mysterious, eerie. Next I have Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. This is one of the books that I reread in 2016, and I also listened to it on audiobook. Of course, this is one of my favorites. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Next I have The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan and The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. These are the first and the second book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the spin-off series to Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So I really don't want to go into too much detail because I don't think it would spoil Percy Jackson, but it is the companion series after Percy Jackson. So yeah, we'll just not give any detail about these two. And I gave each of them 4 out of 5 stars. Next I have Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. This is a really cute young adult contemporary novel. It is not a standalone because there are 2 other companion novels, but I only read the first one. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I also have a book review on this one, so all of that will be posted down below. I also read Saga Volume 5 and Volume 6 by Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Since it's the 5th and the 6th volume of the series, I'm not going to go into any details, but I did give each of them 5 out of 5 stars. This graphic series is fantastic. I really love it. Next I have Fallen by Lauren Kate. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I do have a review on it, and this is another one where I listened to the audiobook. Next I have The Witness by Nora Roberts. This is adult romance. It is a standalone. I didn't enjoy it as much as her other ones, unfortunately, so I think I did give it a 3 out of 5 stars, and I did a review on it, but I love Nora Roberts, but this one just fell a little flat to me. But on a positive note with Nora Roberts, I also reread Sea Swept and Chesapeake Blue, which is the first and the fourth of the Chesapeake Bay saga. I absolutely love these books. As you can tell, the spines are completely broken, and these books just have a lot of wear and tear from love, but these are some of my favorite Nora Roberts books. They are rereads, and every time I reread them, I always give them a 5 out of 5 stars. I love this series. It just has such a great message about family. This series is about 4 adoptive brothers and how they have to take care of one another and their relationship together. The next 3 books I have are the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children trilogy by Ransom Riggs. The first one being Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I believe I gave them all 4 out of 5 stars. So this is book 1, Hollow City is book 2, which was my personal favorite, and Library of Souls was book 3. Next, I have another reread and one of my favorite books of all time, and that is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, which is one of the novels in the Chronicles of Narnia. I love that book. I read it once a year, or I try to read it once a year. I think I do. I think it's very rare that I skip a year, but I love this book, and a 5 out of 5 stars. Next I have The Dream Thieves by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the second book in the Raven Cycle Quartet. This series has taken me a while to finish, but I will get there. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Next I read the first, the second, and the third volume of Rat Queens, which is a graphic novel by Curtis J. It's either Weeb or Weib, but I gave each of these volumes 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's similar to Saga. Actually, no, it's not, but it does have some crude humor. It's a little vulgar, so if you're sensitive to that type of material, like Saga, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but if Saga doesn't bother you, then you may really enjoy Rat Queens. And lastly, I reread Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a collection of short, horror graphic novels, and it's fantastic. I typically read this every October to get me into the Halloween spirit, and this is phenomenal. And the last book I'm going to mention, I didn't complete it, but I read half of it, and that is My True Love Gave to Me, edited by Stephanie Perkins. This is just 12 holiday short young adult stories. I read about 6 out of the 12 short stories, so I'm probably just gonna save the other 6 for next December to get me back into the Christmas spirit, because they are really cute. Alright, so I think that is all of the books that I read in 2016. So there is absolutely no way I'm able to pick up all these books to put in my thumbnail. That is just not possible. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!